Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Lynn Wilson and welcome. It's been a hot minute since we've all talked and I'm so glad you're joining me in my kitchen tonight. So we're going to be talking about one of your best friends in the kitchen to keep you on a budget. So the other night, well, let me go back. So, Christmas has passed, New Year's has passed. We've all spent money. We all ate a ton of food, yada, yada, yada. Now it's time to get down to business. It's January, fresh new year, fresh new start. Get motivated, do all the things, right? You want to do all the things and you want to just, at least for me, any beginning of a new thing is a great time to just think through what you've been doing and a fresh start and all the rest. So we have spent money for Christmas. No matter where you are in life, saving money and staying on budget is a good thing. So that's what we wanted to do this month. And I know there's so many people on YouTube doing a no spend month. And I have a problem with that, just me. I just don't like that. I like a low spend, but not a no spend. We are trying to do a low spend, and I am really, really, really trying to be diligent about what we're eating and eating at home more. For me, it is very difficult. I work 40 plus hours a week. I probably work closer to 50, 55 hours a week with everything that I do, and maybe even more, and take care of my family. So cooking is like, got to think of another thing to make. But I have a lot of stuff in the freezer and I can use that up. I have a lot of stuff in my pantry. I can use that up. And even if I cut in half my pantry and my freezer, I'd still have a couple months worth of food in the house. And that's where I'm at. I'm trying to use up what we have. So I'm going to put some pictures up here. So let me start off with baking mix. Whether you make homemade, your own baking mix, or you opt to get, this is the brand I like better than the well-known brand. My dad, when we grew up as kids, every Sunday morning, he'd get out the Bisquick and he'd make Bisquick pancakes every Sunday morning. And he was hooked on that brand. That's what I knew. And then this was cheaper. When I got married, I got on this brand and I like it better. So what I did is I had some sausage in the freezer, and I'm going to put some pictures up here for you. The Jimmy Dean sausage. Now you can get the regular, you can get maple, and you can get the hot. I like the hot. I make my sausage casserole with that, and I make the sausage. We're making sausage balls today. So I like the hot sausage because you're adding other ingredients to it. It tones it right down. It's not spicy, but it's flavorful. So you use the Jimmy Dean sausage, you use your baking mix, cheddar cheese, cream cheese, and what else? Cheddar cheese, cream cheese. I gotta look at my list, make sure I got it right. And the pepper sauce, and obviously the meat. So I make it a little different than probably the regular recipe you find, that if you were to Google sausage balls, everybody, has their own version of it. This is the best recipe that has worked for me. I really like it. The other night we made it and my husband flipped over it. He said, this is the best. So this is how we make it. I will leave the recipe in the description below. I will also have it over on my blog. If you want to head over to the blog and do a printable version of it, you can do that as well. So what I did, it was very simple. I took the meat and I made sure it was defrosted. I always keep it in the freezer. I defrosted the meat. I put that in the food processor because I wanted to really mix it up well with 2 cups of cheddar cheese. Mix that all up real good in the food processor. From there, I then added the cream cheese to the food processor and the cheddar cheese and the meat, and I mixed that up really well. Then after I did that, I took it out because my food processor, I guess it's an average size, but it's not huge. You probably could do this if you had a KitchenAid as well. I don't have a KitchenAid. They're too big. They're very intimidating to me, so I don't have one. But anyway, you could probably do it in your KitchenAid. But I just took the meat and the cheeses and I took them out and I plopped them right in a bowl and I added my baking mix to it. And then I just squish until it all is melted together and it's nicely blended. And then after that, it's real simple. You know how to roll a meatball? Grab some of that meat. You know, if you've never made a meatball, you grab a little bit of meat and you roll it till it makes a nice ball. Now you make these the size you want. You can make it a small size like a Swedish meatball. You can make huge ones. I find a smaller size meatball is probably the best. If I was going to do it more as like an hors d'oeuvre, I'd probably do a smaller one like a Swedish meatball. So the best thing about this particular sausage ball is it is breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So we had it for dinner, but then the next couple of days we had it for breakfast. It's fantastic. So now you roll it, put it on a baking sheet. You can use parchment paper. I didn't do that. I just put it right on the baking sheet. Put it in your oven, 350 degrees for 25 minutes. Comes out perfect. Now, while you're putting that in the oven, I like the pepper sauce. You can buy it. It's 69 or 79 cents at Walmart. You probably get it at any grocery store as well. Yes, you can make your own as well. You can do a white roux with the pepper. For me, it was just as easy to get the pepper sauce. Sometimes the shortcuts, here's one of the rules that I've learned for myself, or tricks. Yes, you can make everything from scratch and homemade, and it's yummy and it's delicious, but it takes time. So then I go, let's just go out to dinner. But if I can take a few shortcuts in the kitchen, like buying the pepper sauce, you know, if you work outside the home, you work inside the home, sometimes pulling together a meal is very exhausting. But you know what? You take these little shortcuts, like you buy the package of pepper sauce instead of having to pull out all the ingredients. And then you go, oh, I just have to whisk that together. The instructions are right on the back. You add water, you pour this in. I will recommend, though, you make it once the sausage balls goes in the oven, make it then and let it sort of cool off and thicken up. Otherwise, it's still delicious, but it's much more runnier. The longer it sits, the thicker it gets, and it tastes that much better. So what did I do? I took the sausage balls out of the oven. I plated it up. I put the pepper gravy on top, and I did egg noodles, butter noodles, whatever you want to call them. I love the Walmart brand that comes in the bag. They are the best. And I put those on the side, and I did some sliced tomatoes and sliced cucumbers with a little ranch dressing. It was not a fancy meal. It was delicious. Now, let me tell you, this recipe makes a ton. So if you are a family of one or two and you don't think you're going to eat that much, they freeze well. I would not cook them. I would freeze them raw, and then I would take them out, thaw them out, and then bake them and do it that way. And you can tweak this. You can add whatever flavorings you want. You could do whatever you want. It's a very versatile recipe. I've made them before with just the cheddar cheese, the baking mix, and the meat. And I found them to be a little bit dry, tasty. No doubt they were tasty, but they were dry. But if you add the block of cream cheese to it, makes it so much better. So I talked about that baking mix can be your best friend. Why? What can you do? Well, there's recipes all over the box. You know, they have recipes everywhere. I'll read what they have on the box. Apple crisp, sugar cookies, pancakes, shortcakes, banana bread dumplings, cinnamon rolls and waffles, rolled up or dropped biscuits, and then they have a chicken casserole with broccoli. I can tell you, shortcakes, we did that for years and years. It was a cheap and a simple dessert. You could even have it for a breakfast. You make shortcakes, you do homemade whipped cream is the best if you can. Sliced strawberries, or even if you don't have sliced strawberries, fresh or frozen, just use some strawberry jam and put that on top of the whipped cream with a shortcake. After a big dinner, you do something like that. Everybody thinks you've done something that's worth $1 million. It tastes great. Pancakes and waffles with this mix, you can't go wrong. No fail, pancakes and waffles. Sugar cookies, there's a list of kind of cookies you can make with this. Apple crisp, you can do a blueberry crisp, you can do, whatever kind, cherry crisp, whatever canned, pie filling that you have, banana bread, any kind of bread, pumpkin bread, banana bread, any fruit bread that you want to do, you can do with this. I used to use this, and we would make it into a dough and then put it around hot dogs, and you can, cook them up like a pig's in the blanket. The list goes on and on of things that you can make with this. If you were to Google this, pies, pie shells, and the topping for casseroles, and cakes, and all kinds of cookies, and scones, and again, the list goes on and on. You can look up, Google baking mix recipes, and there is a ton. This stuff is cheap. You can make homemade. Yes, you can, no doubt. But again, for me, certain things are a quick and easy. If I'm going to have to cook at home, and I'm trying this month to stay tight on the budget, we're not buying any food, we're not going grocery shopping that we don't need to do. I am trying to live out of my freezer and my pantry, adding a few fresh fruits and vegetables and milk and things like that that we need to get us through the month. But I'm not going and saying, oh, let me stock up on this and stock up on that. With that being said, if I saw a really, really good deal, I learned this from Parsnips and Parsimony. If you watch Art and Janelle, they will do a low spend month, but they will also allow themselves the freedom to say, if there's a really good sale on something, they're not going to pass it up, because that's kind of silly, because that sale maybe never would come up again, and you don't want to pass up things that you can invest in for the future in terms of saving money. But you're looking to do low spend, consider something like a baking mix. You can do casseroles, your baking, your breads, your all kinds of stuff, your breakfast, lunch, and dinners with this. Just a thought, check out the recipe for the sausage balls. If you've never had them, maybe you want to try them. That white gravy on top just finishes them off so nicely. If you have a different style recipe for sausage balls, or make them another way, I would love to get some feedback. I'm always looking for an alternative way to try a new recipe, or to see how else other people make it. Thanks so much for coming over. I've got stuff going on behind me, over here, there, and there. We have completely decluttered this kitchen, went through every cabinet, took everything out, wiped it out, did a good scrub, a good clean. I've got tons of stuff, at least for me, tons of stuff I'm getting rid of from the kitchen. Video coming up next week on my declutter and deep clean in my kitchen. So join me next week. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you'd like to be part of the community. Love to have you join. Love to hear you in those comments below, and we'll catch you all on the next video.